What's going on, guys? This is Chandler Smith, and in today's video, I'm gonna talk about the difference between a normal rental property and a vacation rental property. So that's VRBO, Airbnb, anything that you're renting temporarily to those people that are on vacation. I'm gonna talk about the pros and cons of both, which one is going to be best for your portfolio, and how to run the numbers on both of them so that you can make sure you're getting a good return either way. So with all of that being said, let's jump into it. All right, guys, for those of you that don't know me, my name's Chandler Smith, and I've been investing in real estate for the last 7 years. I currently own 99 units of rental real estate. The majority of those I use as just regular rentals. However, within that, I have 2 to 4, depending on the time frame and during the year, that I've actually switched over that I use as vacation rentals. So I have them listed on Airbnb, on VRBO, and a couple other sites so that I consistently keep those filled. Now, the big question that a lot of investors are asking is, Chandler, which one should I do and what are the pros and cons of both of these different investment strategies? And so here's the deal. On vacation rental properties, 100%, you can get a much larger upside. You can end up getting a way greater return if you do it properly. However, you've got a lot of extra risks and expenses that are tied into doing a vacation rental. And because of this, you can win big, but you can also lose big. And we've seen a lot of people lose big in this current market with the crazy virus and everything else that's been going on. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about doing the vacation rental route. When you look at regular rentals, they're just consistent. They've been around forever. They're something that as long as your numbers work, you're getting your consistent return. You're gonna be able to not worry about vacancy. They're not as hard to keep filled and to keep maintained because you've got tenants that end up staying in there for an extended period of time. So there are pros and cons to both, but I really wanna dive into this so that you can make the right decision, because the big thing you need to understand right off the bat is that there are lots of people out there that they can't make the numbers work with a normal rental property, and that's why they transition into a vacation rental. And I will tell you right off, if this is your thought process, this is a terrible thought process. And this is one of the biggest reasons that I push people towards buying a normal rental property instead of a vacation rental property, because when running the numbers, it must work as a normal rental before you use it as a vacation rental. And I'm gonna talk about how to use it as a vacation rental because trust me, I get it. Vacation rentals can have a huge upside, but do not go and buy a property because you run the numbers and say, hey, because it's a vacation rental, I know I'm gonna be able to get a greater yield or a greater return, and so I can buy a crappier deal. Because that is the biggest mistake you can make. So right off the bat, if you're looking at both of them, understand you need to know how to run the numbers on a normal rental property, and you need to make sure that whatever property you buy meets that criteria. Now, I'm sure lots of you are saying, well, Chandler, why would you do that if you're planning on using it as a vacation rental? Well, here's the reason. I've seen so many people that justify a terrible purchase because they say, oh, it might only rent at $700 a month as a normal rental property, but I'm confident I can get it up to $4,000 a month as a vacation rental, so I can justify paying way more than I should for this property because I'm still gonna be able to get a great cash on cash return. When here's the reality, there are so many more bad things that can happen with a vacation rental. All right? Your market can dry up, it cannot get as much travel. You can have a virus that totally knocks out the entire world so people aren't traveling, so that people aren't going out. And there are a myriad of other things that can happen where if you invest in an area where you know it can be used as a normal rental, you know that naturally the property is going up in value, it's cash flowing, it's checking off all of the boxes in normal rental property, and then you can switch it over to a vacation rental to get an even higher return. What you've done is created this huge safety net to where if things do go bad, to where you can't use it as a vacation rental, you know you can always put a tenant in there and still get your desired return. So that is my first huge tip when making this decision, is it doesn't matter whether you're doing a normal rental or whether you're doing a vacation rental, you need to buy it and the numbers need to work as if it is a normal rental property. All right, you can tell I'm pretty passionate about that point. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, you're not gonna get burned regardless of which direction you go because you've got that safety net in place. So now I wanna jump into the pros, the cons, and some of the things you can expect with both of these options. But before I do that, all that I ask you to do is make sure that you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, because I promise you this video is gonna help you a ton to build a passive income through real estate. However, I have a ton of other videos out there that I wanna make sure you catch, and it would mean the world if you could help out with the algorithm by smashing that like button and subscribing to the channel. So right off the bat, the biggest pro of a vacation rental is the financial upside. I have had units that I've switched over from a regular rental where they were only making $700 a month in rent, and they were able to pull in over $4,000 in 1 month set up as a vacation rental. So I will never argue the fact that as a vacation rental, you can get a huge win when it comes to your actual return. The only problem I found is there are definitely slow times in my area. So I could have a month where I brought in $4,000, but I could have another month where I brought in a couple $100. And I know this sounds crazy, but in the winters, people just weren't traveling where I have my unit. Maybe I was doing it wrong because there's a lot that goes in to a vacation rental and drawing people in, but I definitely noticed a big influx and then a low. And so you want to make sure that you know what your ups and downs look like. Now, there's one website that I found extremely helpful for analyzing a market. It's actually called AirDNA. Now, I don't have an affiliate program with them. I wish I did, but I'll include a link below that directs you to their website. I think it's like $30 or $40 a month, but it breaks down everything for you. You can plug in your actual units and the specs on it, and it'll tell you what it thinks you should list it at during different times of the year. It also gives you access to other people's earnings. So you can actually dive into other people that are on Airbnb, and you can see how much money they're actually making off of their listings. So this website is extremely helpful. Even though I don't have an affiliate program with them, I wish I did because I really believe in their product. So that's something that will help you to determine where your rents can come in at. Now, there obviously is a huge upside with using a property as a vacation rental, and that main upside is the income. So that's the big positive. However, there can be a lot of negatives. The first one is it's going to cost you a lot more upfront. You need to get furniture, you need to get a coffee maker, you need to get a TV, you need to get Netflix. You need to remember that you aren't just providing a unit that someone else is gonna come in and make their own. You're providing an experience. So you need to make sure you're spending a lot more on the upfront to make sure you provide a good experience. And where I see people get burned is they'll spend a ton, they'll way overspend on the front end, and then they don't get the yield they want. So when they analyze the numbers on the property, they looked great as a normal rental, but then they go burn through a ton of cash to spritz up the vacation rental, and it doesn't get the return that they want. So that's why it's so important to make sure you know what kind of return you're going to get when spending these additional funds to make it a good vacation rental. The other thing that can be a major bummer with a vacation rental is you've got a lot more expenses than an average rental, and those aren't just your upfront expenses. You've got a ton of turnover, so you've got a lot more cleaning expenses, you've got to take care of laundry, you've got to take care of any other wear and tear that might happen, and you've got to have the ability to do it quickly, because a lot of times you've got a tenant that was in there and you've got like a 5-hour layover to get the next tenant in. This leaves a lot of margin for error to where if you don't have someone there to clean it quickly, then your reviews can get smashed. Again, if you don't provide a good experience, or it's dirty when they get there, or if you just haven't done enough on the front end to provide a good experience, you're gonna get negative reviews, and negative reviews are death when it comes to owning a vacation rental, because that's what people are looking at to determine whether they should buy from you or whether they should use your unit. You also have to spend extra money to make sure that you get good photos and that you really go above and beyond with your bio and everything else to make sure that you're drawing people in to staying with you. If anything goes wrong or anything goes weird, people are only there for 2 days. So you don't have a whole year to redeem yourself, and they're not gonna be very patient like an average tenant would. They're gonna want it fixed right then because they paid everything for a good 2-day experience. They're expecting a Marriott stay, and so if you give them a crap stay, it's going to carry over into negative reviews, and that's going to affect your future earnings because people aren't going to book with you. The other thing that's really scary about this is if you have a hot period. For me, it's the summer, and let's say your AC unit goes out, or you have negative reviews, or you're in a place where for whatever reason you can't rent out your unit, you miss out big, especially if you're counting on that $4,000 in a month, because later in the year you're only gonna have a couple $100. So if your unit is out of commission during one of those times, you can be totally screwed. Finally, the last point I wanna make, and this is one I've mentioned earlier, but travel changes with the economy more than anything else. So if things happen in your local economy or with your local travel or with the entire economy as a whole, you could have years where you have huge dips, and that is why it's so crucial to look at the numbers as if it is a normal rental. Now, there's a ton more that goes into vacation rentals, but that gives you a pretty broad look of the pros and cons. And I'll tell you right now, it can be a huge win for your real estate investing business if you get it set up properly, but you've got to get a lot more systems in place. You've got to spend a lot more money up front. You're going to have a lot more turnover, and so you need to make sure that you're prepared for that turnover and you do everything that's required to keep those units in tip-top shape so that you keep good reviews and you can continue to rake in the cash. Now, a lot of people are transitioning this direction, and that's another reason I think it is so crucial that your numbers work as a regular rental, because in a lot of areas, you can make a killing as a vacation rental, and I think you should do it. However, I think the market always finds a way to even out, and I think we've seen that already, where more and more vacation rentals are going to come onto the market. More and more people are going to figure it out. And so your margin is going to get more and more slim. There's just so much up in the air, especially with cities where they've cracked down on even allowing people to use their properties as vacation rentals. So for the last time, I'm going to plead with you, do not buy with numbers that only work as a vacation rental but don't work as regular rental, because I promise you in the future, you're going to get burned. Now, upside of regular rental, let's just talk about that really quick. You don't have as much turnover, you don't have as much upfront cost, you don't have as much stress or hassle because you've got a tenant in there that's in there for long term. And when it comes down to your risk, there's always a need for housing, and you're usually able to always find someone who needs a place to live. Even if that means bumping your monthly rent down a little bit, you can usually always find a way to stay in the green if you've run your numbers correctly. Even if the market does go to crap, people need a place to live. Now, on the rare occasion you buy in this place that all of the businesses in that town shut down and you're left high and dry, well, here's the deal. That can happen, but if that happened, you'd be screwed on a vacation rental anyways. So that one's kind of sixes either way, and that's so rare, especially if you're investing in a market that has 100,000 plus people. You know you're protected because it isn't relying on just one thing. So I love regular rentals because there's just not a lot of risk. You know you can keep them filled. You know you can get a consistent return. You know you're not dealing with lots of turnover, lots of expenses, lots of stress. And all those things with a vacation rental, you can turn over to a management company, and that's awesome. I'm not saying you can't make it so that both of them are low stress. I'm just saying there's a lot less that goes into a normal rental. And that's why for me, a lot of my units, I'll leave them as a normal rental for like 6 or 7 months of the year where it's the low spot. And then I'll flip them over after doing a 6-month lease, clean them up really quick, and use them as a vacation rental the other half of the year. Now, the big reason I don't do that with all of my units is I like getting fat. But I've heard the phrase, a pig gets fat and a hog gets slaughtered. I've come to find that I'm okay capitalizing on 2 to 4 units out of my 99 units where I do really well as a vacation rental. But I also like that consistent income, so I'm not scrambling if something happens to vacation rentals where I have to flip them all over at once. Now, would I do up to 10 or maybe even 20 units as a vacation rental? Yes, and I'm considering that as I buy more and more real estate, and even considering it with my current units now. However, I'm just comfortable, I'm happy, I'm getting a killing on my current rentals, and so there hasn't been this huge need to transition them over, even though I probably should because I could make a better return. So there's a very broad look at the pros and cons of a vacation rental compared to a normal rental. However, I promised you I would show you how to run the numbers on both of them. And the reason I did that is the numbers are the same because you're only going to buy a property if it meets the criteria required to work as a normal rental property. So to very quickly show you how to run the numbers to see if a property works, and again, this isn't gonna be everything you need, but it's gonna give you a very broad look so you can know what you're looking for in a rental property. I'm gonna have you go and download my brand new app. Now, this is on Android and iOS. All you do is you go into the App Store and you plug in CDS Rental Calculator. You're gonna find it right at the top of the list, download it, and you can use this app right on your phone to run the numbers to see if the rental property works. Now, this is gonna be a very brief explanation of how to run the numbers. If you want a more detailed explanation on what all these numbers mean, click this link right here. It'll walk you through step by step how to use the app so you can run the numbers properly, so you can buy the perfect rental property that's gonna work great as a normal rental or as a vacation rental. But after you've gone and downloaded the CDS rental calculator, you're gonna pull it up. It doesn't ask for any of your personal information, and you're just gonna go down the list. You're gonna plug in the purchase price, the cost to make rent ready, the down payment, closing costs, years to pay off, and interest rate. Now, you need to know all of this before you go into any property, and so just plug it in. Then you're gonna plug in the rents as if it's a normal rental. You're also gonna plug in a 6% vacancy or whatever your vacancy is for a normal rental in your area. For me, my maintenance expense is at 12%, my management is at 7%, and then you're gonna plug in any utilities, additional expenses, insurance, and taxes, and then you push run numbers, and you are good to go. Now again, I've flown through all of this stuff. I explain this in detail in that link I put above, and I'll make sure that I put it down below as well. But if you plug in the numbers that are the actual numbers for your property, you understand your market, you understand your property, you understand all of those numbers, and they've been plugged in properly, this is going to show you your net operating income, your debt service, your cap rate, and your cash on cash return. Now, I like to focus on the cash on cash return. If for a regular rental, I'm above a 15% cash on cash return, which means I'm getting a 15% return on my initial investment, then this property, if it's in a good market, the property's in good shape, and the numbers are true, which means you've actually gotten the real correct numbers for what this property can yield, and it's above a 15% cash on cash return, then that is a buy all day, every day. And my guess is, as long as you're in a bigger market, if you put that up on vacation rental and you've got it cutesied up and you've got your systems in place to make sure you take care of your tenants, you're gonna make even higher than that as a vacation rental. Now again, if you know you can make more as a vacation rental and you plug in way higher rents and you're getting a 50% return as a vacation rental, but you're only getting a 5% return as a normal rental, do not buy that property. Now, people will disagree with me, but I promise you, buy it so that it can work as a normal rental property so you have that safety net. And then if it works as a vacation rental and you wanna do that, that is awesome. Go out and make an absolute killing. Now, if you guys enjoyed this video, please remember to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the little bell so that you can catch my future videos. Because my goal is to help you to create a huge passive income through investing in real estate. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great day.